Hello and welcome to Out Nerdy. I'm Paul and this is a review of the Kate Bishop show, guest starring Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye. So then, it starts off as we left it last week. We have Hawkeye with a sword to his throat by Jack. Now, Kate stops him and they all sit down and they have a chat, and he gets ruined once again by silly humour. I get it, she's nervous, but we are less than 4 minutes in. Enough, please. On the way out, Hawkeye gets a lecture off Kate's mum, as well as getting his sword back. We don't see him get it back, but he's a sneaky bugger. It turns out mother looks dodgy as fuck as well. Now in episode 4, the watch from episode 1 gets mentioned again. Apparently it should have been destroyed years ago. Why? Who knows? There's 2 episodes left, so I guess we're just going to race to that conclusion. I know, now, don't get me wrong, when you're swollen and you're bruised, I know you use whatever's at hand. Yeah? I'm no stranger to frozen food on my knees, just to help with the swelling. But and I guess it's just because that's what all there is in his freezer. But they have Hawkeye wrapping himself up in frozen cocktail drinks, and it looks daft. There's no need for it. Kate turns up, and we get a cutesy scene of them putting up decorations, and it's nice enough. It's nothing too bad. He teaches her a trick that she masters in 3 attempts. 3 attempts. Piss off, Marvel. Yeah, make her work for it. One of the best scenes of the episode. We get a bit more of the Hawkeye and Black Widow origin story, like we got in the Avengers when Natasha's interrogating Loki. But in this scene, it's from Clint's point of view, and it is done really well, really well. And we all know this should have been the Black Widow film, you bellends. What is wrong with you, Marvel? You boiled a potentially great film into a 30-second story. You utter fucks. The only saving grace to that is that at least they didn't make a stupid joke afterwards. A bit later on, Kate guesses Hawkeye was also Ronin, and they have a nice conversation. But for some reason, and I'm struggling with this, consistently now, the writers have written him as long as a bad guy or a villain, or he believes to be that. He believes himself to be nothing more than a weapon. It's strange because we've seen, throughout the events of the first 4 films, the Avengers films, he's a hero. He saved the frigging world, for Christ's sake. Yeah. So I don't know why they have to have it so he consistently doubts himself. Hopefully that's something that'll be rectified by himself, other than Kate keep telling him that he's good. It's almost a reverse strong woman scene where they need to be consistently validated. But in this case, it's him that's doubting himself, which he shouldn't do. It then moves on. We see Hawkeye on a couch and he's trying to fall asleep and he's reliving events from his past. Once again, this is a great scene as it shows him having flashbacks. We skip forward to the morning. He gives Kate a mission to get back his trick arrows, though this is self-important woman thinks they are our arrows. Ours. No, love, not yet. So off she goes to where these people are LARPing, and in front of everybody randomly asks a cop to steal evidence for her. That evidence being the trick arrows, and she agrees she will do it if she makes it worth their while. Not the cop, the LARPers as well. Yes, I will I will steal evidence for you if you do me a favour. In front of witnesses. I suppose it's supposed to be a funny scene, but is it? Now then, Hawkeye visits Maya's lieutenant and in a mixture of flattery and concern tries to convince him to get her to stop chasing the Ronin because it'll only lead in people's deaths. We then find out that the catch to getting the trick arrows was to introduce them to Hawkeye, and Katie goes back to the issue of branding and how he needs to be branded better. I think this is more to do with that she's taking over rather than Clint Barton as Hawkeye. And they've traced the watch to a building. Now he tries teaching her a lesson on exiting and, you know, scouting a building, but she doesn't listen. She doesn't listen. Of course she doesn't listen. We get a silly humorous scene that really shouldn't have been in there, but it gets her to the building to get the watch. So there's that. Now then, he's on the roof keeping watch, and he gets attacked. He thinks this is Maya, but I'm guessing it's Nat's sister. Of course he gets twatted, and yes, it is Nat's sister. Meanwhile, Kate fights with Death Chick because it turns out it's her apartment, and she gets thrown off a building with Hawkeye helpless to do anything. And there's a very lovely moment, and you can see, it doesn't show it, but you can see it's Natasha that he's seeing falling once again. Now luckily or not, point of view or not, Kate is saved by the grappling hook arrow that he shot so she can escape the apartment. They have a bit more of a fight, he keeps losing. Nat's sister escapes and Hawkeye tells Kate it's over as it's got way too real and way too dangerous and way too fast, because now Clint Barton obviously knows that the Black Widow network was still up and running, which is weird. So this was the best episode we've got so far. We get a lot more of a Clint Barton story, and it's done really well. It really is. Like I said, it's infuriating that Marvel does this because it shows it can do good stuff. They've shown us that, oh, we can really sometimes think about it and give you a good product, good scenes, good TV episodes. But then they're like, nah, fuck it, we'll just give you fucking Chong-Chi instead. You know? I especially liked him talking about Natasha. Like I said, this should have been the Black Widow film. In these 4 episodes, it's continually shown us how Clint is struggling with Nat's death and how it's affected him. And that could have been a season in itself. There wasn't as much goofy humour in this episode, and it's all the better for it. A slight peeve is the Thanos was right references that we keep seeing popping up. I get it, some believe it was, but you only ever see Thanos was right, and then if Hawkeye's in that scene, it smacks like a kick in the bollocks to me, because it's not just Thanos was right randomly on a bridge. It's always where Hawkeye is either using a sink or, in this case, drinking a cup of coffee where it says Thanos was right. I mean, this is a guy who the events of being an Avenger overall has took its toll on him. He's lost his best friend. He's losing his hearing. He's clearly struggling, and Disney seems to want to make light out of it. Like I said, this is the best episode so far. It's strongest in many terms. Is it because it's centred on Clint Barton? That's not for me to judge. I will suggest yes. Anyway, if the other 3 episodes were as good as this wouldn't have a problem with ratings. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed my take on it. Please like, share and subscribe. And I will see you all again. Ta-ra for now.